Good morning, all. Now we discuss Bragg's X-ray spectrometer. It is a device that is working under the principle of Bragg's law. Bragg's spectrometer is similar in construction to an ordinary optical spectrometer. First, look at the figure. Here, it is a X-ray tube. Here it is the X-ray tube. There are two slits used as collimators. And this is the place of crystal, and there is a graduated vernier table, and this is an ionization chamber denoted as I. Look at the figure once more. An X-ray tube to produce X-ray, slits, two slits to collimate the X-ray beam, and there is a graduated rotating vernier table and space 4 to place the crystal, and there is an ionization chamber, and there is some device to analyze the current from the ionization chamber. So, the working of X-ray spectrometer. The X-ray from the X-ray tube are made to pass through two fine slits, S1 and S2, which collimate it into a fine beam. The fine X-ray beam then made to fall upon the crystal D. Usually a sodium chloride crystal mounted on the spectrometer table. And this table is capable of rotation about a vertical axis, and its rotation can be reached with the help of the vernier V and a circular scale C. The reflected beam, after passing through slit S3, here there is a slit S3, enters in the ionization chamber I. The X-rays entering into the ionization chamber ionize the gas in the ionization chamber which causes a current to flow between the two electrodes, and the current can be measured by the galvanometer. So this ionization current is a measure of the intensity of X-rays reflected by the crystal. The ionization current is measured for different values of glancing angle theta. This is such a type of spectra, such a type of graph. Here in the x-axis, incident angle, and in the y-axis is the ionization current. This graph is drawn between glancing angle theta and the ionization current. From the figure, it is clear that for certain values of glancing angle, the ionization current increases abruptly. The first peak corresponding to the first order, the second peak corresponding to the second order, etc. From the graph, the glancing angles for different orders of reflections can be measured. The wavelength of X-rays can be determined by the equation 2d sine theta is equal to n lambda. Knowing the angle theta, and the spacing d of the crystal, wavelength of X-ray can be determined. So this explains how we can measure the wavelength of X-ray using Bragg's spectrometer. And the same data can also be used for different parameters. If the wavelength of X-ray is known and we measure the glancing angle, we can obtain the interplanar distance. Okay, so to determine the structure of the crystal, the interplanar spacing d can be found carrying out the process for each plane of the crystal for the same non-wavelength of X-ray. So to obtain the crystal structure, we have to carry out the process for each plane. Okay. So we know that the spacing, interplanar spacing d can be find out using this method. N equal to 1 creates the condition for the lowest angle at which the lowest reflection occurs. N is equal to 2 creates a condition for the next higher angle at which the maximum reflection occurs. Thus, we have for n is equal to 1, 2d sine theta 1 is equal to lambda. For n is equal to 2, 2d sine theta 2 is equal to 2 lambda. For n is equal to 3, 2d sine theta 3 is equal to 3 lambda, etc. Where theta 1, theta 2, 3, theta 3 are the glancing angle for n is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay. This the ratio of sine of the glancing angles. Sine theta 1 is to sine theta 2 is to sine theta 3 must be equal to 1 is to 2 is to 3. Obviously, by measuring the glancing angles at which the reflection occurs, one can determine the interplanar spacing knowing the wavelength of X-rays. That can be explained as follows. The variation of current against glancing angle is shown in the figure. The curve is obtained when X-rays from a tube containing platinum target were reflected by a crystal of rock salt. From the experimental result, it is obtained that the first order deflection maxima occurred at 5.9 degree, 8.4 degree, and 5.2 degree for 100 and 110 and 111 planes respectively. From these data, we can determine the crystal structure. For that, we have to use these quantities. We know that 1 by d must be equal. We have the equation 2d sine theta is equal to lambda for n is equal to 1. Then 1 by d is equal to 2 sine theta divided by lambda. Or lambda is equal to 2d. This is the first plane. Lambda is equal to 2d 100 sine theta 1. That is equal to 2d 110 sine theta 2. That is equal to 2d 111 sine theta 3. Or this ratio must be equal to 1 by d100 is to 1 by d110 is to 1 by d111 is equal to sine theta 1 is to sine theta 2 is to sine theta 3. Okay. And for simple cubic, this ratio is root 2 is to root 3 is to root 3, root 1 is to root 2 is to root 3. And for BCC structure, it is 1 is to 1 by root 2 is to 1 by root 2 is to root 3. And for FCC, it is 1 is to root 2 is to root 3 by 2. Okay. And when we considering this data, when comparing with the previously obtained, we can say that the above obtained quantity, that is the NaCl, the structure of NaCl is FCC. Now we discuss the X-ray diffraction methods. There are three main X-ray diffraction methods by which the crystal structures can be analyzed. The basic principle of all the method is X-ray diffraction method. They are law method applicable to single crystal, powder method, or it is Debye-Scherrer method, finely divided crystalline or polycrystalline specimen powder is used here. And the third is rotating crystal method. It is for single crystal. Here we discuss the rotating crystal method. This is the arrangement of rotating crystal method. This method used when single crystals are available. In this method, single crystal is rotated continuously about an axis that is perpendicular to the X-ray beam as shown in the figure. The diffracted beam emerges out when the angle of incidence on a certain plane is according to the Bragg's equation for the monochromatic X-ray radiation. A cylindrical film from such a method will give a pattern in the figure. Like this one. This is the pattern observed from the method. The characteristic features of rotation photograph is the occurrence of diffraction spot along a set of parallel straight lines known as layer lines. The spot on the center lines are reflections from the planes whose normals are in a horizontal plane, whereas the spot on any other layer line are from the planes that have same intercept on the axis of rotation. From the distance between these straight lines, one can find the dimension of the unit cell along the axis of the mounting of the crystal. The separation of diffraction data into layer line in case of rotating crystal method is somewhat better than the powder diffraction pattern, but still there is always some overlap of diffraction spots. Therefore, the rotation photograph are rarely used for collection of intensity data. They are more often used for preliminary determination of unit cell dimension and the crystal system. In modern techniques, the photographic film is also replaced with a sensitive counter, and a trace is taken of the count rate recorded while the crystal is rotated slowly, and the computer program are used to simplify the problem of crystal structure determination. So this is the end of the chapter. Thank you.